Hey, what's up everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be sharing 5 easy recipes you can whip up during this lockdown with most things available at home. So let's get started. The first thing I'm going to be making is a very quick breakfast burrito with a bit of an Eastern twist. So for the egg filling we're going to need 1 egg, and to that I'm going to add a 1/4 teaspoon of salt, turmeric, chili powder and black pepper powder. I'm going to whisk that thoroughly and keep it aside for later. On a medium heat, add 2 tablespoons of olive oil, then throw in a 1/4 of a tomato and an onion chopped finely. I'm just going to saute this ever so slightly until the onions and tomatoes have softened. Throw in a half green chilies finely sliced and then add the egg mixture on top. So at this point I'm going to keep on stirring because I want to get a very fine scramble. Once it's looking light and bouncy, I'm going to add a tablespoon of chopped coriander and take it off the heat. So for the tortilla wrap coating, I'm going to crack 2 eggs into a bowl, and to that I'm going to add a tablespoon of chopped onions and tomatoes, 1 chopped green chili and a tablespoon of chopped coriander. For the seasoning I'm adding a 1/4 of a teaspoon of salt, chili powder, turmeric and black pepper powder. Give that a good mix and then straight into a pan on medium heat with 3 tablespoons of olive oil. I'm going to spread out this egg mixture evenly and let it cook for roughly 30 seconds. Next I'm going to place a frozen tortilla on top of this egg mixture and press down so the egg sticks to the tortilla bread. Once the egg is looking cooked underneath, I'm going to go ahead and flip it over and cook it on the other side. Once the egg is looking good and cooked from both sides, I'm going to remove it to a plate, add the scrambled egg mixture in the middle, roll it up. And here's your breakfast burrito ready with an Eastern fusion mix. So next up is a delicious dal and boiled rice recipe. For that I've soaked a cup of chana dal overnight, and as you can see it's puffed up quite a bit. So to that I'm adding 3 cups of water. I'm going to turn the flame on high and let the dal boil until it's fully cooked. So in a separate pot I'm going to make the masala for the dal. So for that I've got half a cup of olive oil that I'm adding to the pan and 1 whole onion which is finely sliced. Once the onions start to brown slightly on the edges, I'm going to add a half a teaspoon of cumin and 1 teaspoon of ginger and 1 teaspoon of garlic paste, followed by a whole can of diced tomatoes. So for the spices I'm using a teaspoon of salt, chili powder, turmeric powder, coriander powder and cumin powder. I'm going to go ahead and mix everything together and let this cook until the oil starts to separate. You'll start to notice that the chana dal has released some froth, so I'm grabbing a spoon and just removing that. So about half an hour later, once it looks like the dal is looking cooked, I'm adding in the masala straight on top. And don't worry about the water because we would like to have a bit of gravy to this because we're going to serve this with boiled rice. I've added half a cup more of water because we personally like it to have a bit of gravy. So when the gravy starts to bubble, I'm going to add half a teaspoon of amchur powder, half a teaspoon of fenugreek powder and half a teaspoon of garam masala. And I'm going to add about a tablespoon of chopped coriander and 1 green chili sliced. I'm adding juice of half a lemon and giving this a good stir. Now to boiled rice, my ratio has always been 1 cup of rice to 1.5 cups of water. Once the water starts to bubble, I'm going to put the lid on and put it on the lowest heat for 15 minutes, and 15 minutes later I'm going to turn the heat off and let it sit for 15 more minutes. You can also serve this dal with chapati or naan. There you go, your simple rice and dal is ready to eat. My next recipe is this amazing Jersey karai that's going to go down a treat with your family. So to kick this karai off, we're going to need a cup of olive oil in a pot and let this heat up thoroughly. To that I'm going to add a teaspoon of cumin, and once that cumin is starting to crackle, I'm going to add the chicken straight on top and give it a little bit of a stir. Next, I'm adding a tablespoon of ginger and garlic paste, and I'm going to cook this until the chicken is looking white all around. For the spices, I'm adding 1.5 teaspoons of salt, 1 teaspoon of black pepper powder, 1 teaspoon of cumin and coriander powder, and 1 teaspoon of white pepper powder, and give this a good mix. Here I've got 4 large frozen tomatoes that I've thawed slightly and chopped up into pieces and added to the cooking pot. I'm going to pop the lid on and put this on the lowest heat and cook it for 20 minutes. 20 minutes later, the chicken should be cooked fully to the bone, so to that I'm going to add 2 green chilies finely chopped and let that cook further for about 2 minutes. Once you see that the oil has started to separate from the chicken, you're going to add about 2 tablespoons of Greek yogurt or whatever yogurt you have to hand, and 3 tablespoons of fresh cream. Give that a really good mix and cook this for no longer than about 2 to 3 minutes. Top that with a handful of freshly chopped coriander and 1 sliced green chili, and there you have it, your perfect Jersey curry ready. Next, I've got this super quick matar pulao that you could probably whip up in your sleep. So to a cooking pot, I've added 3 tablespoons of olive oil and 1 whole sliced onion. For the whole spices, we're going to need 2 cardamoms, 3 peppercorns and 4 cloves. Next, I'm adding 2 teaspoons of cumin, 2 teaspoons of salt and 1 teaspoon of ginger and garlic each. After giving that a stir, I'm going to add a cup of frozen peas and mixing it in with all the flavors. I'm going to add 3 cups of water because I'll be using 2 cups of rice. Once the rice and water start to bubble, I'm going to add 2 whole green chilies, pop the lid on, turn it onto the lowest heat and let it cook for 15 minutes. We're going to let the rice sit for a further 15 minutes after it has finished cooking, and then open out and fluff it out. Here is your delicious matar pulao ready. My final recipe is this show-stopping kheer that I'm going to make with leftover boiled rice. So to a blending jug, I'm adding about 8 tablespoons of boiled rice, and to that I'm going to add about 100 ml of milk. I'm going to blend everything coarsely. The point is not to liquidize everything. I'm going to add this mixture to a large pot and then top this with about 2 liters of milk. So you need to keep an eye on this because the milk can overboil and spill out really quickly. Once you see that the milk has started to reduce, you're going to add a whole cup of sugar and mix it in really well. This will make the milk become really liquidy again, but as the sugar cooks, it will thicken up again. I'm adding 300 ml of double cream to this mixture also. Once it's cooked, it gives it a really creamy taste. You will know that the kheer is ready when you take the spoon out and the rice stays stuck to the spoon. I'm going to go ahead and take the kheer out into a clay pot, which allows it to cool down really fast. I'm going to garnish the kheer with just a bit of chopped up pistachios and almonds, and there you have it, your kheer is ready to serve. Well guys, if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel and follow me on my social media. Till the next time, see you later.